How long will you hide me in a smile, pretend that I don't exist? How many times will you be broken inside before you learn to resist? Dilshani Yasodhya has come up with a beautiful concoction of dark fantasy that takes you to explore worlds outside of your own, but in a way that no one's done before. It's unique, it's mind-bending, and it's thought-provoking. And today, at Interviews and Book Reviews with Vanessa Mendis, we have Dilshani here with us. Hi. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Okay. So I'm really interested because I saw the book, I saw the cover, and I went through this poem. It's beautifully written. I really want to know more about the book, but before that, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'm Dilshani. I'm originally from Galle, way down south, and I grew up with books since I was a child. I started with advanced books like Tarzan series, Aisha.
Okay.
I continued down that fantasy road. Even when I grew up, my love for fantasy didn't really go away. So I studied science because that was the part was decided for me. But after one year in university, I was like, I'm done with science, and I left. And then studied graphic design in AMDT. So I graduated this year. And now I'm focusing on. I'm working as a copywriter, and I'm focusing on my career as an author.
Okay, great. So this is your first book that you published, titled.
Yeah.
What was it like being able to publish a book? What does it feel like to just know that you are a published author now? How does it feel?
I feel like I'm a mother.
And this is your baby. Yeah, I know that exactly is what a lot of authors would say. Dilshani, this The Demon Within, it's a very interesting title, and when we had a little bit of a chat before, you said that this is dark fantasy.
Yeah.
Can you maybe just tell us a little bit about the book? Maybe not everything, but just a little bit.
The story starts with a friendship forming between a human child, 5-year-old human child, and a demon prince who has lost his throne and his body. So he's a disembodied soul, and he's searching for a person to inhabit him and pave the way to his redemption. So the little girl gets involved in basically a fight for the throne in the netherworld.
Okay, all right. Let's not give out the plot any more than that. That's interesting enough in itself, actually. And I think what I would like to tell to all our viewers right now is that this book doesn't handle fantasy the normal way we've heard fantasy and we've read fantasy, all of us. There's something very different about the way Dilshani has chosen to explore dark fantasy in this novel. I think as an author, you've challenged boundaries, you've kind of shattered the norms, because there's always this kind of, given parameter along which fantasy unfolds when it's written into a story. But you've kind of challenged it, and you've done it differently. You've explored everything that other books would, but you've done it in your own way. Was it intentionally that you wanted to challenge those boundaries and kind of break those norms?
I really don't want to do the same thing over and over again. When you say the word demon, it's like this malicious creature, phantom, walking around, corrupting people to do evil. That's the kind of image we have about demon. In my mind, they were different. I kind of combine the two concepts of Sri Lankan yaksha to the Western demon, all those giant demon forms. And then I formed an advanced warrior society that only honor the word and the power of an individual. So they have a society, a very organized society with a king, ministers and merchants and everything. They are not just walking, they think they are above humans, and they consider humans to be pests, insects. They don't we don't want anything to do with it. We are here, they're there.
Okay.
They're kind of like that. They handle humans like that. They don't want to be involved with humans, but they have sometimes have use for them like for entertainment. They use humans. Other than that, they are very, they stay in their place and they live to fight. They respect power and they respect the people who keep their word.
Okay.
Great.
Great.
Some idea.
Right, okay, so I think one thing you've definitely done there is like you've taken that mindless, senseless, just angry, going at it all the time, kind of malicious demon, as you said, and evolved it to a much more profound level of this beautiful social hierarchy and these values that are integrated into them, like respect, for instance, for power, and they stay in their own place, and how they look at humans, you evolve that. I'm also really curious about the whole Sri Lankan Yaksha influence that you spoke about. How did that come in? How did you get that?
So my picture of them is this warrior race. They are ready for battle and they protect their own. So sort of, I have that picture of them. So I incorporated that and enhanced those merciless fighting ability and I gave them magic powers, magic weapons, familiar to someone. So I, magicalized.
Yeah.
Whatever, I think I did that.
Okay, great. We're not going to be talking about the plot too much because I really think that you guys have to read this book, and if we talk it out here, you're going to miss a lot of the interesting bits and pieces. I know for a fact that as authors, as writers, and myself being a writer too, we all have a very unique creative processes. There's a way in which we tap into, whatever is within us to put it on pen and paper. What's your creative process like? Especially creating something of this dimension, like something that's surreal and fantasy. What's your creative process?
The story has been growing in my mind for like 5 years. I started sketching on the characters first, Maya came first and then the areas. My first illustrations were like very tame. So I learned, with time I learned, and my drawings and illustration teacher, she gave me a really big push to noting it down, the complete story, to note it down. So I began writing it. For 2 years I have been writing it, and then I finally found some courage to send it to an editor. Even between me and Mr. Mala, we have sent it back and forth. Like after I sent it to edit, I would submit the edits myself. It has been like 100 times back and forth. I tried so hard to bring the story to this state. Still, I think I could have done better.
That's actually a really good sign of a writer. I think that we're never really quite happy with what we've done, and we want to keep improving and evolving the piece of writing that we've done even more. But like from what I know about this book, it's actually a really nice piece of writing, and I think it's very unique, like I've said several times already. Which is why I want to dig in a little bit more. And you said about how it took you about 5 years to come up with this book. And how you started writing and then finally found the courage to send it across to the Jam Fruit Tree publications. What was it in you that pushed you to sort of write fantasy, and what was it that you drew inspiration from?
I grew up with fantasy. Like I said, I started the first real book, except for children's book, of course. First real book I read was Tarzan and the Golden Lion. It was the singular translation. I think I owe him all my fantasy thoughts because I didn't know English when I was growing up. I grew up in a village surrounded by people who didn't speak English at all. So I owe him all my thought process and everything because he translated so many hidden gems, I would say, from Tarzan to Henry Rider Haggard books. I owe Mr. K.T. Karnataka for all those translations, wonderful translations. So I got dragged into those stories, all the fantasy, and having a place that this reality is no longer valid. the one we live in is no longer valid. They have their own laws, they have their own characters of magic and everything. I basically think fantasy as a way to escape the world we live in. So yeah, that's how I took the road to fantasy.
Okay, that's really interesting. To be able to actually develop the levels of layers that you've developed in this story and the kind of network that spreads throughout the story itself. It's at a very complicated level, but it's easy for the reader to understand. So for that, you need to be able to tell stories really good. Have you always been a storyteller? Have you always enjoyed reading and writing? Maybe this is the first book you published, but have you been a storyteller always?
I have been, like when I watch a movie or read a book, I have a tendency to rewrite those things, reimagine those scenes with different characters, with different settings, in different settings. But I have never wrote them down or tell them to somebody, will just keep them inside me. So this book is kind of a patchwork of everything I have done in the past. I think it's something like that.
I'm really glad that you decided to write this one down and publish it though. And speaking of, there was something you said before that I also resonate with. You said that you had a lot of help from your teacher. What was that like? And like, who was it? Was it just that teacher who supported you and encouraged you? How was that?
At AMDD, most people supported me. Before that, in a traditional school setting, people were like, when I tried to tell them a story, they were like, so I stopped telling my stories. When I came to MPT, most people were supportive. They were ready to listen to the story. So my teacher, she's an artist, she sat by me and listened to the full story. I was so afraid that she would get bored and get up and leave, but she listened and she told me, you have to write that story, you have. So I listened to her.
I think that's great. I think we all need that little push.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you got it because this is a great story. Let's also talk about something that really stands out to me when I see the book is this beautiful cover art that comes with it. I think it's really unique and I think it stands out because there's black, then there's the grey and the white, but then there is this really bold crimson red and this golden yellow that's going through it. I feel like this cover illustration also has a bit of a story. Is there a story behind it?
The thing is, my characters are attributed to many colors. I'm a big anime fan, so when it comes to anime, you know hair color and eye color play a large role. So the red, white, black and gold plays a large part in two of the protagonists. So you have to read for them.
Yes, I think that's the category to find out. Is this it for this fantasy or can we expect a sequel? Is there anything coming up?
Sequel is already in the editing phase. The story is written. My personal opinion is better than this.
Okay, I wouldn't expect anything less. Great. Dilshani, I'd also like you to, you said a little while ago that there was a bit of a back and forth during the editing process and that you still wanted it done better. Can you maybe explain a little bit on that experience, maybe for other aspiring writers who are watching this right now, what the editing process was like for you and anything that you'd like to share with them?
The thing is, once you edit a code forwards with edited thing, you have to read through it. Because no matter how many times you read through it, there is that one sentence you want to change in some way. Sometimes that one change in that one sentence could sway the tone of the whole chapter or maybe even the book. So yeah, you have to go through it like, I don't know, 100,000 times. Until you're satisfied, you have to go through it.
Okay. How long did the editing process for this book take?
I think it's about 2 months. Yeah.
3-2 months? That's reasonable. 3-2 months is good. Okay. The final thing. There are lots of writers out there, and you just said yourself that before you came into AMDT, you were discouraged from telling your stories, which played a part in you not writing what was in your mind so far. There are lots of writers out there who struggle, I think. They want to write, but they don't write. You've published your book, and you've done a brilliant job at it. So, is there anything that you would like to share with aspiring writers out there?
I would like to say that you have to keep writing. I mean, you might not be able to publish it next month or next year or something, but still you have to keep writing because you never know. You never know, you might have a chance to show your work to the world and get recognized for it. So just keep writing and keep trying.
Great, that's great advice. Can you also tell us where this book is now available for purchase?
It's now available on Jam Fruit Tree, and you can buy it online or come to the showroom, and also Saraswati and Rohan's Bookshop.
Alright, so thank you very much Dilshani for sharing your experiences with us today, and also for writing this beautiful book. I'm sure that all of the readers are going to enjoy it very much, and I'm looking forward to reading the sequel of this book and to seeing what happens to the protagonists there and how the story unfolds, and very excited and really looking forward to it. So all the very best with that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us today in interviews and book reviews. We'll be back another session with another book and another new story to explore. That's it for now.